what's going on, everybody? Yes, things look different. I'm getting used to it still, too. I have reorganized and reimagined my office space downstairs. I have a brand new desk, which is huge and big, and I love it. But with that also comes a reorganization of everything around me. Nothing behind me has changed, per se. You just have a different vantage point of it. So let's just get used to it together. But regardless of how this room is situated, it is Monday, and that means it is time for another 10-minute mailbag. I am suffering from a little bit of a scratchy throat. I was outside in the cold rain broadcasting some lacrosse games this weekend. Some of you guys listened along. Thank you. Phenomenal. Amazing. I love you guys for doing that. But we're going to get through this. We're going to power through and answer your questions about MLB The Show. It is a downtime right now for viewership of MLB The Show, which should not really surprise anybody. But that makes it all the more important that you like this video and comment your questions down below. And of course, subscribe. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We're inching closer every single day. But in a downtime of viewership, every little bit helps. Alrighty. On to the... Which way do I do this now? I sometimes... On to the video! By the way, the reason you guys are now going to see me start staring in different directions is because I switched which monitor is in which position, and the camera is here now. Just all sorts of craziness. But my gaming monitor is right here in front of me now, and I've got questions to answer. So let me get my phone ready. All right, 10 minutes on the clock. Let's not waste any more time. In 3, 2, 1, begin. Our first question comes from Nicholas Haro. We answered one of his questions last week. For future MLB The Show games, once we go exclusive to PS5 and Xbox Series X, do you think there are potentially revolutionary changes that will improve the game drastically? What are some of those changes you would like to see? So, first thing, I don't know if exclusively it'll ever go to PS5 and Xbox Series X. I do think it will be optimized better for it, and there will be separate games you can purchase. If you're still on old gen PS4 or Xbox, whatever, you could still play it. It would just be kind of like a different version of the game. But in terms of revolutionary changes, I don't know what could be changed. I would expect better graphics, probably. Not that the graphics are bad, though, let's be honest, they really have not changed a ton in the past, 4 or 5 years. But the big thing I'd be looking for is server strength and connectivity. I think by optimizing the game to be on the most recent consoles available and also eliminating Nintendo Switch, goodbye, I think that automatically just makes for a better playing experience. I think that eliminates a lot of the communication and lag issues. I think that makes, unfortunately, custom stadiums more viable. I'm not a fan of custom stadiums. That's a separate rant for a separate day. But I do think we are well past the point of optimizing this game for the most recent gen that we're on. Didn't, the PlayStation 5 come out during, the pandemic? It's old. It's not a dinosaur, but it's been around for a minute. So I do think it's time, and that would just make server strength so much better. We're still a long ways away from server strength being what it should be. SDS needs to figure out how to have its own servers instead of peer-to-peer connection. But that's another separate conversation for another day. But thank you for your question. That's what I've got off the top of the head right now. If you guys think of anything else while you're listening to this, please, 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 put it down below. Next question, Danny Henke. Hopefully you see this. I have. But I have a question about the market. I have Ellie De La Cruz, and I want to sell him before the season ends. But when I try to, it says I have to unequip him. I've unequipped him from every lineup I have, but it still doesn't let me sell him. Have you had this issue? I can guarantee, respectfully, that you have not checked every single lineup. It does not just mean these main 4 lineups right here. You need to go check if you have him in an event lineup. I don't think he's eligible for this one, but maybe you had him in a previous one and that was holding you back. You might even have him in a mini-season lineup. Check all your lineups and shit-can him from everywhere. People forget, it's not a big deal. It's unfortunately one of, the weird just quirks of this game and how the market works. I personally don't think, an offline, a mini-season lineup should be that restrictive like that. I think it should just, if you want to sell that player, it'll automatically populate the next player. Or, before you queue into your next game, it should be like, hey, moron, you just sold your shortstop. Please replace the empty space in your lineup here. Just little things like that. I understand why you can't do that in an event run, because that is a locked run that you have entered with an entry. Same thing obviously goes for your competitive lineups, your 4 lineups that you put together. But I would think you may have overlooked something like mini seasons or events. And if you already looked at those things and you still can't figure out, I apologize. I don't mean to, make you upset that I think you're stupid. I don't think you're stupid. But I don't know why that would be the case. I've never had that issue, especially after going and checking every single nook and cranny of where these idiots can appear in a lineup. So I am curious if what I said helped solve your problem. If it does, great. Please let me know. If not, people in the comments, help a fella out. How can we figure this out? But Danny, I hope that helped. Moving on to John Bear, the homie John Bear. Thank you for being here always. I get bored by everyone having 115 plus everything on their attributes, mainly because guys who have lower power and higher contact, vision, speed, defense, etc. are less viable. Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, Luis Arise, Richie Ash Cheeks should be way more viable. I agree with you wholeheartedly that they should be way more viable. I don't think that necessarily competes with people having 115 everything. I just think SDS needs to better utilize players like Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, Luis Arise. They need to alter the meta in a way that makes people who impact the ball via the line drive, as opposed to balls being launched all over the place, have some sort of viability. I don't know how that works. I think SDS took a great step this year by making the outfield play bigger. I don't know if you guys remember them talking about that very early on, but that was one of the things they talked about. Was like, we're going to make the outfield seem to play bigger. Balls are going to shoot gaps. They're going to get down lines. Whatever. It felt real good in the beginning. I don't know if it still feels as big as it used to. Maybe I'm just used to it. Or maybe we have so many damn fast, good outfielders that balls just get tracked down. I still think there's a little bit of a imperfect relationship between ball off bat and outfielder reaction, especially as a former outfielder myself. Clearly not an MLB outfielder. Not trying to say I was, but they react real fast. Real fast. So I think continuing an effort to make the field play a little larger is massive for players like that. I also think there needs to be an emphasis increased on hit types. Tony Gwynn, Luis Arise, Rod Carew, they didn't always, scorch balls into the outfield. They hit some loopers, some little dinky doodles. I'm not advocating for fluky hits. That's not what I'm saying. Tony Gwynn, you would argue, those were not fluky hits to him. Those were real swings that he put on the ball to hit the ball that way. Same for, Ichiro. Think of how Ichiro used to hit the ball. So I think there just needs to be a better job or more effort put in to try to make those players viable to fit their own styles of play. Right now, the only style of play that works online is that 5-tool meta style. Truth be told, not everybody was a 5-tool player. So I think SDS, if it's possible, should try to do a better job to truly make lineup building important. You need to have a contact guy somewhere. You need to have some dudes who can, move a guy over. I don't want to turn this game into small ball. I understand people like home runs, but I also think it'd be really cool if you could meet these players where they are and have people learn, oh shit, Tony Gwynn was the boss, and this is why. So I agree with you. I just wanted to put it out there that I do think, Mike Trout's always going to have 115 everything. You could argue Acuna could. You could argue Mantle could. That's not the problem. The problem is just that the other guys without the power are kind of poopy. But I appreciate your comment. I know that wasn't really one of a question. I just wanted to kind of bring it up there. Next one comes from CJ Crow. Ochev brought up a new idea I haven't heard before and would like to know your thoughts. Less sets with longer time in between. The catch is that nothing carries over, other than core cards. So shout out to Ochev, big fan. Crazy good player. Consistently one of the voices of my morning as I'm working from home and listening to him stream. So I appreciate his content. I'm going to actually respectfully disagree with this, though. I don't think the answer is longer. I think the answer is shorter. I think sets and seasons should be 30 days. Because my concern with sets and seasons is the lulls in content. And I think the more we can turn over with more seasons means more lineup variety. Because cards will phase out faster as sets go along quicker. This set right now, what are we in, 4? This was almost a 60-day set. We could get, or season, whatever the hell they're called. The way I'm proposing it, we could have had 2 seasons done in that same time frame. And I think that's better for keeping the game fresh. There's a lot more content to dive into, potentially. We won't have these 2 to 3 week lulls in the middle that make everybody bored. Now, to Chev's point. His point isn't invalid. I'm just saying what I would prefer, and that's less. What he is proposing does make sense. The idea of nothing carrying over, though, is my sticking point with that. Always, 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 is that content has to come out the first day of every new season, and then nothing from there. Because let's say they drop a new Headliner pack, or Diamond Duo, whatever the heck they're called, with 2 weeks left in a season. And that card ends up being one of my favorite cards. I can't use him for more than 2 weeks. And I think that's a fundamental problem. So that's why I think sets and seasons the way it operates now, why they have you use that previous set still is so you can enjoy time with the cards that you've gotten. That is my biggest issue with Chev's point. Now, Chev is very creative. And he knows what he's talking about. So I'm sure there's a lot more to his idea than just what we're talking about surface level here, and I'd love to hear more about the intricacies of that idea. I just think giving us more stuff, more sets and seasons, ultimately means more content, and ultimately means more to do. I also think it means that day 1 drop each set or season would be still big, but a little less than what we're doing now, so it would seem more manageable, and it wouldn't seem so tedious, it wouldn't seem so homework-like. So that's what I'm hoping for. Ladies and germs, 10 Minute Mailbag is in the books. I enjoyed the conversations as always this week. I hope you guys don't hate my nasally, congested, sore throaty voice. I can hear myself through these headphones, and I sound like a moron. Please, 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 everybody, I beg of you, please leave your comments down below, your questions. What do you want to know about MLB The Show 23 or 24? We're going to have some fire postseason content incoming in the next few weeks. Maybe get some news about Set 5. I'm curious what you guys think's going to happen. Will we get 99 team affinities in Set 5 for Finest? Lordy Lord, I hope so. Thank you guys for making it to the end. Stay tuned for more content on YouTube this week. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And I'll see you next time.